Hello guys, welcome back to our channel. So the topic today we are going to discuss is master slave configuration on Jenkins. So why do we need master slave configuration? What it is meant? So let's say dev is the instance where I have installed my Jenkins, where I have all the jobs. Let's say I have 15 jobs on the dev machine. Okay, so I'm just making it as my master. So simply we can say master is the instance where I have my entire Jenkins configuration and the actual builds, actual jobs has been located. Okay, so I have 15 jobs in master. So thing is that when I execute those 15 jobs parallelly, it means at a time when I execute those 15, the master is getting is facing some issues with the performance. So mean the master is not in a situation to execute those 15 builds at a time. So the capability is not enough to execute those 15 jobs at a time. So that what I am doing, I'm just introducing a machine called slave machine. I'm introducing a machine called slave machine. So slave machine is the machine where I want to execute those excess job which master is feeling burden. Let's say master is good enough to handle 8 jobs in 15. Master is good enough to handle 8 jobs at a time. So the remaining 7 I want to execute on slave. So that master can execute those 7 to 8 jobs whatever assigned to that, it can be executed without any issue. So there we can see there is no performance degradation. So whatever the jobs assigned on master and whatever the jobs assigned on slave will be executed as expected. Okay, simple that. When you execute those 15 jobs on one instance, which is master, where I have Jenkins, when I am executing those 15 jobs at a time, the master is not able to handle the load. So just to distribute the load, I've introduced a machine called slave, and I'm expecting this slave to execute some of the jobs from master. Okay, so the load has to be distributed between the master and slave. Okay, and remember one point here, the load distribution will happen on round robin method. Let's say with the given parameter, system parameter, master is good enough to handle the 15 jobs at a time. It can be executed on master itself. Okay, even the slave exists, it can be executed on master only. The same with the slave. Let's say first job is being executed on master, remaining 14 on queue. Okay, so the route has been done to slave, the request route is done to slave. So if the slave is good enough to execute those 14 requests, it obviously execute. Okay, so simply you have to understand master slave configuration is a configuration we do in such a way that the load will be distributed between these two. If one instance is good enough to handle X number of jobs, it will execute regardless of how many in pending with other instance. Hope you understood the point. Okay, so to do that, so what we can say is on master, as we discussed, on master we have entire configuration of Jenkins, but on slave literally nothing, we just introduced it. We don't have any configuration related to Jenkins, we don't have any information of jobs on slave machine. That has to get it from master. The job info which slave has to execute it, the slave has to get it from master. Even master has to be capable of routing the jobs from its source to slave, so that what we can say, master and slave both should communicate each other without any issue. To do that, so we need to establish passwordless communication between master and slave. That's the first step we need to do during the master slave configuration. What's that? We need to establish passwordless configuration between master and slave. Master should be able to communicate with slave, and slave should be able to communicate with master without any issue. So to do that, so the protocol we are using is SSH protocol. What is that? SSH. So SSH is the command we can say, or protocol we can say, that will be that used to communicate two instances. So as we are connecting internally, I am just using private IP. See, this 125 is the machine which is like master machine. So I'm just, oh my god, I'm just trying to connect to the slave machine. Oh sorry, what's wrong? Okay, oh what happened here? Okay, I've copied IP of the master. So let me try to connect it from slave. Then see, you have permission denied issue. Okay, so let me do the same from master to slave. So even here also connectivity is not happening. So master is unable to connect with slave, so slave and slave also unable to connect with master. So in this way, how the file, the job execution will be happen from master to slave. So to do that, so what we are doing, we are establishing passwordless communication. Okay, so between these 2 points. So remember 125 which is ending with 125 is the master machine, and which is ending with 176 is the slave machine, and you can see on 125 already Jenkins is running. Okay. So to do that, so remember guys, this communication is something not in between two servers or two instances. It's something between two users on two different instances. Let me say, I have root on what is this, master machine, I have root on slave machine. So now what I am trying to do is I am trying to establish the communication between root on master to root on slave, or I can say root on slave to root on master, but not on every user to every user and to master to slave, right? Not every user and master to every user and slave. It is something particularly I am doing for root on master to root on slave, or root on slave to root on master. That you should remember. Okay, so to do that, so first we need to set the password for this particular user, means root user. To do that, so the command we need to use is password root. Enter the password. Okay, I've given some random password. Oh my god. Okay, so now I've done on slave machine. Let me do on master as well. Password for root. Okay, done. The password setup is done for root user and both the instances. Now we need to do some configuration. Let me do it first on master. Okay guys, here if you do, we have to go to a file called ssh folder. Okay, just do ls. You don't have .ssh folder, so give ls-a because this is hidden file, hidden directory, so that you should give ls-a. So go to that and do the ll. See, we will be having two files by default. Here you just execute one command ssh-keygen, which generates two extra files, means key files. Do the ll. See, we had id_rsa, id_rsa.pub. Do the same on slave machine also. Okay, just do ll. We have only two, ssh-keygen. Don't bother about this password, you can give just enter. Okay, now the keys has been generated. What we need to do is now is we need to use these keys to establish the communication between these two. So let me do it from slave to master and master to slave. So what I need to do is just cat the id_rsa.public key. Okay, copy this output. Now we are on slave. Go to master. We have authorized keys. Do cat appending authorized keys. So this is what this command does is it will append the data to this particular file. Do Control D. Now you can do cat authorized keys. See, this is the data what we entered now. This is on master. Okay, we have the info of slave. Do the same from master to slave. Cat id_rsa.pub. Copy this stuff. Come to slave. Cat authorized keys. Right click. Control D. Okay, just check whether it has been appended or not. Yes, we are on slave machine. The data from master has been appended. Okay guys, so now let me go to master and quickly check whether we can be able to communicate with the slave or not. This is the command, right, where we got the issue. See, earlier we are in 125 machine, now we are in 176. If you want to check, go to 176, do cd ls. So these are the 4 files actually we have on slave. Okay, just do ls See, these are the 4 files you'll get as response. Just do logout and do the ls same again. See, now the files are different because these files are on master, these files are on slave. Hope you understood the concept, guys. Okay, let us check, from slave to master as well. Yeah, this is right. So it is 176, now it is 125. Just do ll, now you will get different files. Hope you understood. Okay, guys, so this is how we have to establish passwordless communication between these two, master and slave. Now our concept is, let us go to Jenkins, log in the Jenkins admin. Okay, so this is my a master machine. This is the 125. This is the private IP, this is public IP. Hope you know the difference. You can get it. Yeah, see this 3.145.26.16. this is one, right? Yes. So now I have created 2 jobs which are very fresh. I am not executed at least once. Very first, let us check whether these jobs are builded properly or not. Let us build it for the first time. And let's see whether these are good or not. See, and observe one more point. See, this job 1 has been executing here under build executor status, and we don't have any other thing here. We have one build queue, build executor status, that's it. After that we don't have anything. Now let me execute job 2 as well. Okay, this is successful. Let us wait for job 2 also. Okay, so now whatever, forget about what we have inside the jobs, but these 2 jobs are good enough to have success output. Okay, so now what I am thinking is, when I execute this job 1 and job 2 at a time on master, when I execute job 1 and job 2 at a time on master, it is causing the performance degradation. So that what I am planning to do is, I am planning to introduce a slave machine which has to distribute the load with master. Okay, and remember guys, as I told you, if master is good enough to handle these 2 jobs, even slave exists, it won't route to slave. If master is having trouble to execute these 2 at a time, one of these jobs will be routed to slave. If you configure any particular jobs, that will be routed to slave. Let's say if you don't configure anything, randomly if job 1 is occupied with master and job 2 is to be executed, then it will be routed to slave machine. Let's say you have particularly assigned this job 1 to slave, okay, and you are executing job 2, then also it will route to slave machine. Hope you guys understood. When either it is master or slave, whether it is capable enough to execute, it will be executed there only. Okay, when the routing has started, within the time the first job is not able to execute it by master or slave, okay, then the remaining job will be routed to second instance. Hope you guys understand. Okay, so to do that, so let us check once. Manage Jenkins. We need to create the node, manage node and clouds. Just come here, create node. Let's say node I am creating as slave. Click on permanent agent. To do that, so we need to do one more thing here. Yeah, so this is slave, right? I need to come out of it, log out. So now I am on slave. So to have all this workspace on slave, just create or before that, what you need to do is, yes guys, I forgot one point. So to do this stuff, you need to have Jenkins, Maven and Java on slave also. Earlier we have configured only on dev server what we used for Jenkins. Okay, so now I have taken this as slave. So here also you have to configure Maven, Git and Java on slave. Okay, I have it on this server, but in case if you don't have, just configure it, because see, now these jobs you want, now this second jobs you want to execute on slave. Okay, what is in the job? What the first thing we are doing, we are getting the code from so and so source repository, right? Let's say it's from Git, and once we get the code, we are creating a package within that. For that we are using Maven. So to execute that code on slave machine, slave should be able to use those particular utilities. So to get that Git code, Git should be existed on the slave machine. to create a package, Maven should be existed on slave machine. I hope you understood. Okay, that's the point. So, and Java, remember guys, Java should be there. And what's the next point? Yes, now we have all the Jenkins configuration and master. We have all the Jenkins configuration and master. This is the output of master, and now we are in slave, guys, don't get confused. Okay, so now in slave we don't have any dependency to connect to the master machine. Our motto is to execute so and so job on slave from master. This is communicated, that is fine. We have Git and Maven, that is also fine. But how the job will be executed without Jenkins? So for that you need to get one dependency file, that is called slave file. That is called slave file. So that you have to get it from master. So to do that, so just give wget http:// private IP of the master. Oh sorry, this is a master, right? Private IP of the master. On which port we have Jenkins 8080 / JNLP jars / slave dot jar. You guys know this wget importance, right? We did it last last videos. Now we got slave dot jar, and guys just give enough permission to this slave dot jar. That's fine. Now create a working directory, workspace for this slave jobs. I'm just creating something like slave. Okay, cd slave. Okay, we don't have anything, so this is the working directory where I need to which I want to be workspace for the jobs which are getting executed on slave. You know the workspace, right? You are aware of workspace, right? Yes. So this is the place where which I want to be workspace for the jobs getting executed on slave machine. Okay guys, now this is done. Let's move to dashboard. Manage Jenkins. Come to manage nodes. Click on new node. Just give a new node name called slave. Click on permanent agent, create. Okay, all these are on your wish. Slave name, description, this is your point. Now remote root directory, for that you need to give the directory whatever we have created for workspace. Superb. Now the label is a very important word, very important parameter that should be considered. Okay, I'm just giving it as slave1. Remember guys, I have given the slave name as slave, but the label name as slave1. Okay, come to launch method. Launch agent via execution of command and controller. Now the command should be SSH, okay, root @ slave IP. Sorry. Okay, private IP of slave. Java -jar Jenkins dot, sorry, not Jenkins. Slave dot. What happened here? Slave dot jar. Okay guys, so what is this command? So what we are telling is we are doing this configuration master, right? We are doing this configuration master. So we are telling to master machine that SSH is the command we use to connect to what? To connect to root user on this instance. So meaning of this entire command is through SSH connect to root user on this machine, and once you connect it to this machine, execute this command. Execute this command, java -jar slave.jar. So what I am telling is this is the machine I have, this is the file I have on slave. So from master itself I am expecting to connect to this machine. I need to execute this slave.jar as java -jar slave.jar. How does it really work? Let me show you one example. So from master we are trying to connect it to slave, right? Oh, sorry. So how does this command work? Let me show you an example. So now I am on which machine? I am on master machine. Okay, So now what I am trying to do is I am trying to connect it to root. I am connected to root user on so and so instance and execute this command ls-lrt. See the output, guys. See the output. We got this response which is from slave machine. I hope you guys understood. See, but if you observe, now you are on which machine? Master machine, but the output is from slave machine. Now do the just ls-lrt now. This is the output for master from current folder. Hope you guys understood. So now this is telling that connected to root user and so instance, and once you are connected successfully, execute this command. Okay, what this command is simply running slave.jar. Slave.jar is a slave file, something dependency with master instance. That's it. It's not something rocket science, simply. Okay, now the slave node has been configured. Remember, guys, that node name I have given as slave and the label I have given as slave1. Okay, superb. Now this is active. Now come back to dashboard. Now you want to run this job 1. You want to run. Now see, come here, you can see one point. See, earlier we have only built-in node. Now you have slave. So come to job. I just want to, when master is busy, I want to run this job 2 on slave. Configure. Okay, come to general, click this restrict where the project can be run. So what is asking for? Label expression. So I have to give this label what I have given for this slave. So it will be slave1. See, now just let me give slave. It really doesn't work. So I have to give slave1. Slave1 is the label what I have given for slave node. Hope you understood. So that's why this label expression is a very important one. Okay, apply and save. So now just come back to dashboard. Now we have two nodes. Yeah, guys, you have to understand one point. Ideally, with the configuration we did, this should be executed on slave. But what I am trying to do is I am trying to build these two parallelly. See, the job 1 is executing on slave. Okay, and this is in queue. Okay, so now you can say the execution on slave is been successful. The execution on slave is successful. See, now job 2 executing on slave machine, job 1 executing on master. You guys understood, right? See, in first case I have just run these two parallelly, so the slave is good enough to handle these two. So those two jobs has been executed on slave. Now what I have done, I have done this job, I have just run this job built on slave. Now I made this slave to be occupied. Then immediately I will just execute job 1. So as slave is occupied, it has run an master branch. Remember, guys, this will be a round robin method. And here you can do one thing. The slave machine, whenever you want, you can just make it offline. Click on slave. Okay, mark this node temporarily offline. Just make it offline. Okay, just come back to dashboard. Now just execute job 2. This is in queue. Just execute job 1. Execute job 1. Job 1 is being executed. Okay, now make this instance bring this node back to online. Job 2 is getting executed. Hope you guys understood. Okay, yeah, that's it, guys. That's it from the session. This is the most important concept, and don't get